What if the part of you you've spent years avoiding is the very key to your freedom? What if healing isn't about feeling better, but about finally facing what hurts? And what if the reason shadow work is so popular is because we all feel something deep inside us still remains unresolved? We live in a world obsessed with light, positivity, productivity, performance. But quietly, in the corners of our consciousness, a whisper remains. Face your shadow. Heal your past. Do the inner work. You've seen these phrases everywhere, pinned to quotes, spoken in TikToks, written in wellness blogs. But beneath the spiritual aesthetics and polished captions lies a deeper, more uncomfortable truth. Almost no one actually does it, because real shadow work isn't poetic. It doesn't come with filters or fanfare. It's not something you can summarize in an Instagram carousel. Real shadow work is confronting. It's not the trendy version, it's the trembling version. The one where you meet yourself without your masks. The one where you sit with the guilt, the rage, the envy, the feelings that polite society told you to hide. And here at Mindful Way Television, we don't believe in glamorizing that process. We believe in honoring it. Because the path to wholeness isn't polished, it's honest. And honesty takes courage. So in this video, we invite you not to just watch, but to witness, to feel, to maybe even begin your own return to the parts of you that were never truly lost, just waiting. Part 1, 2:36 o'clock. What shadow work really means. Let's start with clarity. Shadow work isn't about finding faults in yourself. It's about finding the forgotten. The term was coined by Carl Jung, who described the shadow as the unconscious part of the psyche that holds everything we've disowned: anger, desire, fear, shame, vulnerability. It's not your darkness. It's your denied light. The shadow forms in childhood when we were praised for being good and punished for being too much. So we buried our rage, our sensitivity, our wildness. And where do those parts go? Into the unconscious, into the body, into our relationships. They appear when we lash out without warning, when we chase validation over and over, when we recreate the same heartbreak in different forms. Shadow work is the slow, sacred act of turning inward and saying, I see you. I'm not afraid of you anymore. I will no longer abandon you just to be accepted. Because until you bring those parts into the light, they will continue to drive your life from the back seat. This is not about becoming a better version of you. It's about becoming a truer one. And that journey, as we'll see in the next part, is the reason most people stop before they ever really start. Part 2. Why most people avoid it. So if shadow work is so vital to our healing, so necessary for true wholeness, then why do most people never begin? Or why do they begin and stop the moment it starts to get real? Because shadow work isn't just difficult, it's terrifying. It asks you to do what most of the world is designed to help you avoid. It asks you to slow down in a world that rewards speed, to turn inward in a culture addicted to outward appearances, to be honest deeply, uncomfortably honest in a society that teaches you to perform. It's easy to post a quote about growth. It's easy to light a candle and say, I'm doing the work. But real shadow work? It doesn't care how spiritual your Instagram grid looks. It doesn't care how many crystals you own. It cares about your truth. Your actual, unfiltered, trembling truth. Shadow work asks you to sit with the parts of you that were never welcomed. The part of you that still aches for the love you never received. The part that manipulates, not because you're cruel, but because survival once demanded it. The rage you swallowed, the grief you denied, the jealousy you masked behind politeness. It invites you to name what you've tried to numb and to hold what no one else ever did. This is why most people turn away. Because before it liberates you, it will humble you. Before it heals you, it will unravel you. It will ask more than you thought you had and give you more than you believed you deserved. Shadow work is not a linear climb. It's a spiral, a descent, a remembering. And yes, it is lonely. There are moments when it feels like no one understands. When your old self wants to pull you back into comfort. When the pain resurfaces louder than the promise of peace. But those who stay, those who breathe through the discomfort, instead of running from it, they emerge different. Softer, wiser, more rooted in truth. Because on the other side of the darkness isn't perfection, it's presence. Part 3, what it feels like to do shadow work. By now, we've seen that shadow work is not glamorous, it's gutting. It asks more from us than any aesthetic ritual ever could. But what does it actually feel like when you're in the midst of it? Let's be honest, it doesn't feel like a breakthrough. It feels like breaking. It doesn't feel like a glow-up. It feels like grief. It feels like sitting in silence and suddenly being overwhelmed by a memory you thought you'd long forgotten. A look, a word, a moment, and it all comes rushing back. It feels like crying for a childhood that was never fully safe. It feels like trembling, not from fear, but from the body finally releasing what it has carried for decades in silence. Shadow work often begins with discomfort, but underneath that discomfort is honesty. And honesty has weight. You might find yourself journaling something so raw, so unfiltered, you can barely read your own handwriting. You might scream into a pillow, and it won't feel performative. It'll feel necessary. You might write a letter to your 8-year-old self and cry, not out of pity, but out of reverence, because somehow they kept going. They kept surviving. And for the first time, you realize you don't need to fix them. You just need to sit with them. Hold them. Let them finally speak. Shadow work is emotional archaeology. You dig through layers of "I'm fine." You uncover old wounds dressed up as personality traits. You realize the rage was protecting the fear, and the fear was protecting the longing. You learn that what you labeled as too much was actually too little held. You find that what you thought made you broken was just the part of you that was buried. And the most powerful thing, as you keep digging, something shifts. Quietly, you start to feel real again. Not perfect, not healed, but real, like you're finally standing on solid ground. You stop performing peace and start embodying it. And that subtle transformation from suppression to presence is where the magic of shadow work begins to reveal its deeper truth. Part 4. How to begin shadow work gently. If you've come this far, maybe something inside you is stirring. A quiet knowing, a whisper that says, "I think I'm ready." Not ready to fix everything, not ready to explain it all, just ready to start. The beautiful thing about shadow work is that you don't need a degree in psychology. You don't need to attend a weekend retreat. You don't even need to call it shadow work. You just need honesty. You need slowness. You need the courage to stay with yourself even when it gets hard. So how do you begin? Here's where you can gently start. 1. Ask yourself, asterisk, asterisk, what parts of me do I reject? Is it your anger, your sadness, your hunger for affection? Don't judge. Just notice. Often, These parts were rejected by others before they were rejected by you. 2. Use deeper journal prompts. Asterisk, asterisk. What emotions did I learn were unsafe in childhood? Who was I before I thought I had to be good? What parts of others do I criticize, and how might those reflect my own shadow? When did I learn to abandon my truth to be loved? 3. Practice mirror work. Asterisk, asterisk. This is not easy, but it is powerful. Stand in front of the mirror. Look into your own eyes, not with critique, with presence. Say softly, "You are safe with me now." At first, it might feel awkward, but stay. Something sacred happens when you stop looking at your reflection and begin witnessing your soul. 4. Honor the pace. Asterisk, asterisk. This is not about fixing yourself overnight. This is about slowly, gently, reintroducing yourself to your whole self. You're not becoming someone new. You're returning to someone ancient, the original you, before the masks. And above all, be patient. You're not late. You're not behind. You're just arriving to the parts of you that have waited for your presence, not your perfection. Part 5. The quiet power of real shadow work. By now, you may have noticed shadow work isn't about becoming impressive. It's about becoming honest. It's not a spotlight you step into. It's a candle you light in a dark room, one flicker at a time. The gift of shadow work isn't applause. It's presence. Asterisk. You stop needing to react to everything. You stop performing peace for others while crumbling inside. You stop leaking your energy into people, places, and patterns that never knew how to hold you. And slowly, you begin to return to yourself. You learn to trust your asterisk. No asterisk not as resistance, but as reverence. You begin to love the parts of you that once made you shrink. The parts you once apologized for. The parts that were messy, loud, or too soft for this world. You begin to see how much of your life was shaped by the scared version of you, the one who just wanted to feel safe. And instead of judging that version, you begin to thank them. Because they got you here. Shadow work doesn't erase your wounds. It teaches you how to walk with them. With grace. With compassion. With a groundedness that doesn't need to be explained. You become someone quieter. Not because you've disappeared, but because you no longer need to prove. Your presence doesn't scream. It radiates. And in that quiet radiance, people feel something different. Not your ego, not your pain, but your truth. And truth, when embodied, not preached, changes everything. Shadow work won't make you famous, but it will make you free. It won't land you on a stage, but it will return you to your soul. You'll cry in silence. You'll forgive in private. You'll break in sacred ways and rebuild without an audience. And somewhere, in the middle of it all, you'll meet the version of yourself you've always deserved to know. The version that no longer seeks permission. The version that feels safe being seen even in their shadows. Because that's the point, isn't it? Not to become perfect, but to become whole. This is Mindful Way Television. If this journey stirred something in you, a memory, a question, a quiet yes, leave us a comment. Tell us what part resonated, or simply say, "I'm here." We read every word. If you're ready to live your truth, not just your timeline, subscribe. This space was made for you, and for all of us who are done pretending that healing is a hashtag. Our next episode explores another tender part of the human experience, one we often overlook but deeply feel. We'd love for you to be there. Until then, take your time, Take your story back. Take your whole self with you. You're not broken. You're remembering who you are.